Oakland A's UK, Oakland A's UK, the Oakland A's UK, the Oakland A's UK. Hello and welcome to Oakland A's UK. I'm Matt Smith, and in this video I'm going to have a quick look back at the MLB London series. Hopefully you've seen our A's UK video diary. If not, take a look at that after this video, but we're a week on now from the London series, and so I thought I'd have a review of it all and what things might be added to the 2020 event. You'll know that the Cubs and Cardinals are coming across to London next year, and this year's event was absolutely fantastic. Everything MLB did in preparing for it, the field, it was great, and everything Baseball Softball UK did around the event worked really well too, so let's not consider this a moan. It was a really great event, but there's always things you can add, always things you could do extra, and these are just a few things that come to my mind that I'd like to see added for 2020. So the first thing I'd look at is the MLB shopping experience. Now, Bob Nightingale of USA Today has already tweeted about this, that it was a record-breaking weekend for MLB in terms of merchandise sales, and that MLB are already looking at perhaps adding extra retail units, extra shops around the stadium for next year. That certainly would be a good idea in my book. The queues on Saturday and Sunday were huge, and that just showed how popular it was, but obviously affected some people's enjoyment in terms of just taking quite a long time to actually get into the shop. As well as having some extra retail outlets around the stadium, I'd really like MLB to do a pop-up shop. Now, they did this a few years ago. I think it was the winter before Battlegrounds, so maybe 3-4 years ago, and the obvious place to do that would be in a Westfield shopping centre right near the stadium. Don't know how practical that would be, but I'd like to see some sort of MLB pop-up shop, maybe for a couple of weeks or even a month before the event, and then a couple of weeks after too, because that would be a great way to allow people to buy up stuff before the event, and also to capitalise on the extra interest the games have had by having a shop there for a couple of weeks, if not a month after the event, for people to buy up more stuff around the London series, merchandise of the teams, and hopefully also more merchandise of the other teams in MLB. So some more shopping options would be a great idea for 2020. Most of my other suggestions are around the in-game experience in the stadium. Now, the first thing I'd look at is the scoreboard. They had the two video screens at either end in London Stadium, and whilst they're pretty big, they're not necessarily huge compared to some of the ones in the States. For all of the information they tried to cram on there, I think they did a really good job in terms of how they displayed it all to try and make it clear, and also the replays and home run, single, all the stuff they put up there. I think they did a good job with what they had. But there were a few things where I think maybe they could have made it a bit more dynamic, a bit more changing during the game to kind of capitalise on the key events that were happening. Now, it particularly caught my attention when Aroldis Chapman was pitching. They did have the pitch type and pitch speed on the scoreboard, but they were very small, just crammed in under the kind of photo of the pitcher and some details about the pitcher. Now, I saw a few people, particularly on a Sunday, kind of nudging the neighbours, oohing and ahhing and pointing up at the scoreboard to look at the speed when Chapman hit 100 miles an hour. But there were a lot of people who were kind of oblivious to it. Now, I think at a Major League game, if you've not seen much baseball before, there are three things that will really capture your attention. One is a big home run, two is a great fielding play, and three is a guy hitting 100 miles an hour on the radar gun. So I think if they would have made a bit more of that, big letters, 100 miles an hour, I think it would have got a big reaction from the crowd. And there's potentially a bit more they could do in that respect in terms of really capitalising on special moments during the game, and so that people perhaps who wouldn't know to look out for them on the scoreboard would be directed to them a bit more than they currently were this year. So having a look at the scoreboard and adjusting that might be a good tip to further enhance the experience for people at the stadium. My next idea is actually something I thought they were going to do based on some of the comments I read before the series, and that concerns the in-game announcements over the PA. So the way they played it this year was to basically replicate what you'd get in a Major League ballpark, and that was fine. That was, it worked well and certainly played well to the Americans in in the stadium and kind of gave you the authentic MLB ballpark experience. But I do think there might be some value in adding some more announcements to the in-game PA just to kind of help British fans along, particularly those who are coming to games for the first time. So I'm certainly not saying pipe commentary over the PA or announce every at-bat, but doing things like announcing the score at the end of an inning. So, and there it is, the end of the third inning. The New York Yankees lead the Boston Red Sox by 8-6 or something like that. I know they don't do it in the States, but I think it would kind of help kind of signpost a British fan's way through the game if they've not been to a game before. And I also thought they might do a bit more around things like home runs. So if someone scores a goal in football, they'd announce it. If someone scores a try in rugby, they'd announce it. So why not announce a home run when it goes, so I don't know, what was it? There we go, it's the first home run of the MLB London series by the Yankees, number 31, Aaron Hicks, and everyone cheering and things like that, just building it up a bit. Again, I know they don't do it in the States, but I don't think there's anything wrong in doing a few little things like that to play to a British audience. I know you're kind of trying to toe a fine line between not kind of putting off experienced baseball watchers and appealing to new people, but that wouldn't be too much in my book. Announcing the score at the end of innings, announcing home runs, I think that would be a nice touch to add to the experience for newcomers to the sport. My next idea is one I feel really strongly about, and I'm going to be banging on about this on Twitter over the months ahead. So if you agree, maybe tweet to MLB London Series to see if we can get their interest in this, at least to look into it. Okay, so after the London series this past week, I've been watching back some of the BT Sport coverage of the games, which I recorded, and they were really, really good. Now, we all knew Josh Chetwynd is very experienced in terms of broadcasting baseball to British fans and knowing how to explain it to Brits, but his co-commentator Darren Fletcher was kind of a revelation, really. He's a really good commentator on football, and I'm sure I've listened to him do NFL coverage on 5 Live in the past. But yeah, he did a great job, and they just towed that line of not dumbing it down too much, not annoying a savvy baseball audience watching, but when it was right, when it flowed well, explaining key things about how the game is played, what's going on, and even doing stuff that would be very basic to an American fan, but doing things like explaining who Mookie Betts is. Why is Mookie Betts so great? What's to know about Mookie Betts? Things like that to really help newcomers to the sport get a handle on what's going on and who are the stars and what are the key stories going into the game, what's the rivalry, all that sort of stuff. So BT Sports commentary was fantastic. Now, how does this play into the in-game experience? Well, if you go to an England cricket game and also increasingly other sporting events, you can buy it's basically a clip-on ear radio. And through that, you can listen to the commentary. So they basically set up kind of like a small area FM radio transmission. And they use that to then broadcast the TV or radio commentary. So if you go to an England cricket game, you can pick between Sky Sports TV commentary or the BBC Test Match Special radio commentary. Now, the reason I think this would be so great at the 2020 MLB London series is twofold. The first is that for me, this is the absolute perfect way to help British fans, people who are new to the sport, to really follow along with what's going on and enhance their enjoyment of the game. You can have that BT Sport coverage in their ear. It's just in one ear, so you can still talk to your friends, you can still talk to your family. It doesn't get in the way, but it kind of explains the game. It will help you along with what's going on, giving you the storylines and everything. And it does it in a way that directs a very customized experience to those people without annoying anyone else. It's not throwing something over the PA constantly. It's tailoring the experience to the different types of fans at the ground. So I think it would be great for newcomers to be able to listen to BT Sport commentary on an earpiece. But also, from my own point of view, I love listening to baseball radio commentary, just as radio commentary works really well in cricket. And it's one of the things that you notice when you actually go to a ball game. most of us in the UK obviously watch most of our sport, most of our baseball on TV, but the whole point about going to a game, yes, you're concentrating on what's going on, you're watching the pitches, you're seeing everything that's going on, but it's the experience of being at a ballpark for 4 or 5 hours or so, talking to your friends, having a drink, going to get something to eat, you're basically spending the afternoon or the evening at the ballpark watching the game. But it's not just about watching the game, it's the whole experience. And I would have loved sitting there in London Stadium to have had the commentary in my ear, listening to Darren Fletcher and Josh Chetwynd in my ear, listen to them explain what was happening, telling stories, telling the storylines. I think it would have been a great enhancement to the afternoon and the evening on Saturday night. And yeah, it's something I really think would be a good idea, and I really hope that MLB look at and think about introducing for the 2020 London series, because it would raise a lot of money, I'm sure, because they could sell those little ear pieces, the little radios at the stadium. So I think they're normally like £5 or £10. So, they could make quite a lot of money on them from that business side. But I really think it would help enhance the experience of newcomers and just people who want to enjoy some commentary during the game. Although you can do it kind of streaming online on your phone, as far as I know, doing that little kind of dedicated FM radio coverage is by far the best way to direct the commentary to people with the minimum of time lag between the commentary and what they're seeing on the field. So I'd definitely love MLB London Series to look into that for next year and to introduce some dedicated radio coverage on an earpiece for fans at the stadium in 2020. My next idea is possibly pie in the sky, but I'd absolutely love it, so I thought I'd throw it in here too. In the week leading up to MLB London Series, MLB put on a European camp at Farnham Park, which is the main baseball and softball facility in England. It's near Slough, and MLB put some money into the park, into the facility, so that was great, and the whole thing was fantastic in what they did. But as I was sat in the stadium, particularly on the Friday practice day, the workout day, I couldn't help but think, wow, look at this amazing field. Wouldn't it be great if some European baseball players could be out there playing a game too? So I don't know how practical that would be when they would do it. Certainly I think a 9-inning game probably would be difficult to fit in, but maybe even on the Friday workout day, just having, say, a 4-inning game or a 5-inning game between some of those MLB Europe guys and obviously, from my point of view, maybe a Great Britain team or something like that. It would be a fantastic showcase for them, a fantastic showcase for European baseball, and a real treat for those players to have the experience of playing out on the field like that. So, yeah, don't know how practical or feasible that would be, but I would love to see some sort of European baseball game, even just a mini game played on the field in 2020. My final suggestion, admittedly, is a selfish one on behalf of MLB UK, but hey, let's throw it in anyway. What you sometimes get at football clubs is a game every season is kind of dedicated to celebrating supporters. So they'll invite supporter clubs from around the UK, from other countries around the world, and they can come onto the pitch at half time normally to do a lap of honour, wave their flags and show everyone they exist. Now, wouldn't that be great to do in 2020 to have MLB UK supporters clubs out on the field? We did a big photo shoot outside of the stadium this year, but how about next year we do an on-the-field photo shoot where we can all get together on the field, on the diamond, and wave our flags, to do a little parade maybe around the outfield to show everyone that there is a really big, burgeoning MLB UK community out there. If you support the A's, come and join us at A's UK. If you support the Astros, check out George and everyone else on Twitter on their Astros UK feed. We're here. This isn't just an American thing that's being transplanted to here for a few times and then goes away again. We're a community already, and we're a great community to be part of. So hopefully MLB could celebrate that in 2020 and allow us to kind of show off our flags, show off our support to MLB on the field next year. So there we go. Those were a few ideas from me, looking back on the 2019 London Series and what they might do for 2020 when the Cubs and Cardinals come to London town. What do you think? Do you agree with any of those, or are there any things you disagree with? Any other good ideas you've got? let me know in the comments below or on Twitter, and hopefully we can add in our thoughts from a British MLB fan's perspective so that the MLB London Series crew can enhance the experience even more next year. I'm Matt Smith, thanks a lot for watching. Yeah, we're the Oakland A's UK. The Oakland A's UK. We're the Oakland A's UK.